Hey, good morning. I'm Josiah with Rockwell Farms, and this
Hi, I'm Christy.
is Christy. Thanks for watching this episode. It's 2 nuts on a tree. The other nut is out of town right now. I think he's catching some pretty big fish. So he's not here today, but I've got Christy, otherwise known as Vanna, with me. So what are we going to be talking about today?
Yes, today we're going to do some exciting container planting with bulbs. We got
Yes.
these beautiful bulbs in.
Yep.
So these are going to be planted in the fall so you can have some surprises in the spring.
Oh, I love that.
And we're going to do it in containers so that way if you don't have the room in your yard, you can put your container anywhere you'd like and have a nice display of pretty flowers in the spring.
We're also Vanna is going to be giving us a tutorial or demonstration on what we do to plant bulbs, what she does. She has pretty good success with, and so planting in fall is pretty important with your bulbs, with some of the variety of bulbs. So that way when you when spring rolls around, they're already rooted, you're ensured to get blooms out of them. I think you're also going to go over some a fertilizer that we like to use now for the bulbs.
Okay.
And so you'll be able to go over that. I like bulbs because it's like you forget about them after you planted them in the fall. And then all of a sudden in the spring, you have flowers everywhere and you're like, oh yeah, I did that. Yeah, because they kind of go unnoticed being under the dirt. You just naturally forget about them.
Yes, happy surprises.
Yeah, love it. So we've got a pretty good variety of some bulbs, some really pretty ones. We ordered some of our favorites here so that way you can try them. And we'll go over some of those later. We have some comments. Why don't we go ahead and answer those? You go ahead.
Okay, we appreciate y'all's comments. So this one's from Rose Nystrom. She's asking about weeping willows. So she says, does a weeping willow have to be planted in a wet area? It's a good question.
Yeah.
So with weeping willows, actually one of my favorite trees. They do not have to be planted in a wet area, but they do enjoy a water environment. In nature, you'll see them a lot of times by springs or streams and lakes.
That's true, yeah.
So when you get a weeping willow and plant it in your yard, if it's not next to some wet soil, you'll just need to really water it in. And they are really fast growing, so just watering them in really well will help.
Agreed. Yeah, so they can be planted in a wet environment or a dry environment. If you're planting in a dry environment, you're going to have a little bit more watering to take off until they get established, which is fine, so you can still get that. Or if you have irrigation in your yard, that's good too. But just mainly your first and second year with the weeping willow, till it gets really established. Weeping willow is such a beautiful tree.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Grows so well and fast. Yeah, I've actually got one in my yard in a wet area. Kind of soaks up some of that water. It's really pretty.
Perfect.
So, all right, this one is from R. Wood. Again, thank you all for commenting. This helps us get feed. Your comments helps other gardeners. So if you have gardening questions, you can leave a comment below this video, and that really helps other gardeners for us to answer that on the show. You're not only getting your answer, but you're helping hundreds of thousands other gardeners that might have the same question. So you're actually helping others when you do that. This is from R. Wood. When is the best time to apply tree and shrub to protect against borers and other insects? That's a really good question. So I've actually got these over here, and I think our producer is going to put those up on the screen for you. But your tree and shrub drench, I've noticed in your active growing season, this works the best to apply this. And so the measurements, you go by circumference for your tree, kind of like you're measuring a waist. For each inch of circumference, you're going to be using 1 ounce of this. But in your active growing season, I've noticed this is the best. So spring to summer, when it's actively putting on new growth, that's when your tree's absorbing the most and when this product works the best. If you are outside of your active growing season, it's okay. You can still apply this, but we do recommend using our Has to Grow plant. This is a pretty good fertilizer. This is also what we use to, if trees are having problems, to kind of revitalize those trees because it works so fast in helping put new growth. But essentially what that's going to do is it's going to get your tree absorbing more, and then you're going to apply this right here. And so you can apply the tree and shrub drench mostly any time, but if you're growing out of active growing season, you do want to use a fertilizer alongside of that. So, yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Thanks, y'all, for the questions. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, Christy, why don't we just go right into you giving a demo in the
right,
back garden
let's do it.
in our flower bed on how to plant some bulbs so we can enjoy those next
All
spring.
right, come meet us in the garden.
All right, Christy, what do we got back here? Look at this fall garden
Oh my
we
gosh,
got planted.
it's gorgeous. So
Yeah.
we've already got tons of pretty color in here.
Yeah.
Lots of texture and height. So we're just gonna enhance the garden with some bulbs.
Yeah,
You know, that way, so we have those happy surprises come spring.
great.
So as you see, we've got some spacing in between here. The bulbs are quite small. We grabbed a crocus variety, which is gonna pop up in the late winter to early spring. So this one you'll see first.
So you really don't have a whole lot of digging to do.
No.
You're just going to be going off of plant depth. So this is something you can do in an already planted flower bed,
Yeah.
just in between stuff.
You're just gonna wanna put the bulb down in a little bit of the soil so that it has time to establish its roots and then
Okay.
pop back through.
Awesome.
And then our daffodils will pop up next. We went with the classic bright yellow and then some really pretty red tulips. So
Awesome.
let's get to digging.
Okay.
So I think we'll just put a few crocuses up front. You can use your hands as well.
Okay. So I'm going to,
Yeah.
what is your planting depth on your,
So just a
crocus?
couple inches down, it says, about 4 inches. Sorry, 2 inches down, and it's gonna be about 4 inches tall.
okay. So I
Yeah.
can just make a couple little spots right here.
Thank you, Josiah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and each of these comes with multiple bulbs, so
Okay.
look at those babies. There you go.
Awesome. So when planting your bulb, you really want, there's this little patch where you can, kind of like an onion, looks like a
Yeah.
bottom of an onion right there. You can see the point. Your point you usually want pointed up. And then, yeah.
Okay.
So your point goes up, or else you're going to have a funny looking plant come springtime because it's going to be a little stunted. And what's your planting spacing on this? Are you just
So,
going a couple inches
yeah,
apart from
this
each
says
other?
about 4 inches apart
Okay.
on the spacing. That just gives it room to establish its roots.
So crocus, these are one of the first ones that come up in this spring.
Yeah, it says that
Okay.
they'll pop up in early winter. And typically when I see them in my parents' yard out in Bella Vista, it's my first reminder that spring is on its way.
Oh, that's awesome. It's
They-
kind of like daffodils for me. When
Yeah.
you're driving through the countryside and you see all these daffodils on the side of the road, it really lets you know, kind of like forsythia too, you know?
Oh, yes.
That bright yellow lets you know it's on its way. You don't have to wear overalls too much longer.
And another great thing about bulbs is they're going to come back year after year.
Oh, that's awesome.
So something that you're going to make the investment now and get to enjoy for years to come. It's also an activity I love to do with my kids because they also like to see the surprise that comes
Oh,
in
yeah.
spring.
And it's also teaching them patience.
Yeah,
You know,
yes.
you planted it a season ago in
Yeah.
a different environment and weather pattern, and then
Yes.
you get to enjoy it in the spring.
All right. So this is a exciting little activity and it's fun for everyone.
Okay. So we're going to get these daffodils planted and these tulips.
Yeah.
So on your packaging, you definitely want to make sure that you're going the same depth. If you're putting in a flower bed, you can go by their spacing. Actually on container gardening, we actually do spacing a little bit differently. So we'll be able to get into that because we pretty much throw spacing out the window when it comes to bulb container gardening.
Yes.
So, okay.
And one thing
Awesome.
I noticed right away about our daffodils is that these are going to go 6 inches into the ground, kind of obviously because it's a larger bulb. So you're going to need to dig down a little bit more. For your daffodils, they're also going to grow taller.
Yep, and this is also 6 inches. And I'll just show this. I'll bring this up to the camera here.
Yeah.
This is the top of your bulb, kind of like an onion. That's where it's going to be sprouting out. You want to make sure, especially on tulips and daffodils, that you're not accidentally planting them upside down. It can happen. Some of your bulbs look like this on both sides, depending on what you're getting. There's some bulbs that sometimes it's hard to tell, but making sure that you have your point sticking up and where your roots would be sticking down, obviously. So that way you don't have some stunted ones that have to grow funny. You'll have some problems with that.
All right. I love it. And this is a new item that the guys actually were able to find for us at the trade show. So that's pretty fun that we're now
Yes.
going to have,
Yeah, I picked these out.
yeah, hand selected. And so exciting. And you get a good value for it because you get multiple flowers in the packaging.
So bulbs, you definitely want to get these planted in the fall. If you plant these in this, there are spring bulbs to plant in the spring, different lilies and stuff like that. But for fall variety bulbs, at any of your garden centers, they'll be able to help you figure out what bulbs to plant right now. And also on timing, we are planting these a little bit earlier, but typically between September and November, that's your ideal time to get your bulbs planted. Yeah, so
we planted
you get a little bit later into that, and you're not guaranteed that it'll flower correctly.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, fun color to come.
All right, awesome. Why don't
you.
we move over to the front? We'll get some color bowls going. What we do for container gardening, we've got a few different methods that we'll show you. So I don't think people appreciate bulbs as much as they should because of that spring color that you're getting early season, but especially in containers. It's not something that's is as common, should I say. And so we're going to show you some methods that we really like to use in making a container bulb garden. Some people, they just don't have the space in the ground, or if they're having problem with squirrels or voles eating the bulbs. This is a great way to keep this up on your deck. You can, I mean, these containers are really pretty. You can just pick your container out and fill it up with dirt. So we're going to show you how we do it, a couple different methods that we do. One of them being single planting, and then one of them being lasagna layering. And I'll get into that. I know it sounds pretty interesting, and I get hungry thinking about it, but it's actually for bulbs, not eating.
Okay,
so.
Garfield.
All right, yeah. So why don't we go ahead? We're using Fertilome. When it comes to bulbs, you want to make sure that you are using something that's pretty loamy, because you don't want your bulbs to be in a soggy area, or else they can start to rot. You just don't want to do that. So you do want something loamy. And then when it comes to watering.
What do you mean when you say loamy?
That's a good question. So loamy, you don't want something that compacts, kind of like, you know, clay. Clay is not loamy. It compacts really hard, holds higher water retention. This Fertilome right here, it's nice and airy and breathable. The peat moss in it and the perlite in it, that allows for it to have that kind of loamy texture. The peat moss retains water, but doesn't allow for root rot. And then your perlite will help for the aeration in your soil. And so I really like this because it's loamy. You're going to get good drainage, but it still stays moist.
Wonderful.
Most of your bulbs, they don't like wet feet, so you don't want them in a really wet area.
Me neither.
Yeah. Sometimes we're working here at the nursery.
And get soggy socks.
And the worst thing is soggy socks, no kidding. So let's go ahead and fill both of these up about 6 inches from the top.
Okay.
When it comes to container gardening, like we were talking about earlier, we're going to throw all of our spacing out the window. The reason being is because if we go by spacing, really for this pot, we're probably only going to get 3 tulip flowers that will be in this pot. If you're planting in the ground or in a flower bed, it is different. You have the space and it looks more full if you're covering a bigger area. But we kind of like to throw that out the window because in containers, you really do want a full container, so you really get to enjoy it. And your bulbs will be just fine going a little bit closer to each other. All right, let's get you another scoop in there.
Thank you.
Maybe one more.
Right.
Okay, so we've got both of our containers. Why don't we start with that one over there?
Okay.
We're gonna press this down just a little bit because we're not watering it right now. So in our container, we're about 6 inches, around 6 inches from the top. That's where our bulbs are gonna be planted. And so in one of these, we can just do single.
Okay.
We've got this, actually I'm gonna grab one of these over here.
Yeah.
This is actually I'm gonna bring this up to the camera. This is a daffodil, and I've never seen anything like this, and so I had to get these.
It's gorgeous.
But it's kind of double, it's double flowered, and then it has multiple blooms on one head. Rather, most of your daffodils, they just have a single flower that comes up. This one I really liked. So your planting depth on this is 6 inches.
Yes.
From the top. And so you do want a little bit of headway, so that way when you water, you're not going to have runoff on the water and it's going to sink into the pot. So why don't you go ahead and do these. Our spacing on these, I believe our spacing is 6 inches, but again, if we go off of 6 inches, we're not really going to be able to enjoy this in the spring as much as we'd like to. And so we're probably actually going to plant our bulbs probably 1 inch to 2 inches apart from each other, side to side.
And one thing we want to talk about with our container gardens is that when you do water these in with containers, since it's not going to stay in the earth, the nutrients will eventually wash out with your water. So it's really important that we supplement with some plant food. And we like this biotone.
I couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So we place that in the bottom of the hole that we dig that the bulb will then sit on top of.
Why don't you go ahead and sprinkle some over the top there.
And a nice little boost in nutrients. So it's going to have some really good texture to it, and it's just a lot of different fungi and bacillus that'll facilitate good growth for the plant bulbs.
Yeah. And this will take you can actually go a little bit heavy on this because it's going to take a while for this to break down before we get our blooms, so you really don't have to worry about burning.
Yeah.
Okay. So on your daffodils, like I said, I'm going to probably plant these about 1 inch to 2 inches apart, and I'm actually going to go ahead and fill this up. There we go. Here, do you want to get some more daffodils over there?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's
The
pack
golden
this
pearl.
up.
So we're going to have a little pop of yellow along with the pretty double whites. And again, we're just focusing on keeping the bulb facing up when we do so. Container gardening is fun because you can do it.
And again, this is
anywhere.
going to help, so this is much fuller in the spring, so that way you're not disappointed when it comes up because you're going by the spacing on the recommended spacing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty good. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We actually have 10 bulbs in here. You can take a look. Versus getting 3 in there, getting 10 is a lot better because we'll have a much fuller container when it comes to spring. And trust me, you'll be thanking me when the spring comes around.
Oh wow, container gardening is so easy too. You don't have to even dig in because you're just layering on that top soil. Since we went 6 inches down, now we're just filling over top. Super fast and easy.
Right on. So you're going to mist these down. Again, you really don't want heavily wet containers through the entire fall and winter. And so your watering is going to be pretty minimal on these. You really want to wait until they're almost completely dry to water. If we have a drier, cold winter, keep an eye on it. You can also just set these in your garage if you wanted to on your container and just water as needed. It's okay with it being dark because these are bulbs, and then just setting it out earlier in spring so that way they know kind of late winter, early spring. Go ahead and set these out outside, and that will help. Now our next method I like to call lasagna.
Oh, fun. Let's hear
Planting
about it.
or layering.
Yes.
And so basically the idea is you have different bulbs that bloom at different times. And so you have tulips, you have daffodils, maybe crocus, and there's different things that we can use, but why don't we stick with those ones? So daffodil, tulips, we've got these beautiful red tulips and this kind of yellow tulip. We can do a mixture of these tulips. So perfect, we'll go ahead and fertilize.
Just gonna fertilize again with a little bit more.
So this is also succession planting because each one is going to bloom at a different time. So that way you can enjoy your container a whole lot longer. So starting with your farthest depth, which is going to be your daffodils and your tulips, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to layer those in here. So this one is a purple Prince tulip that's really pretty, a nice kind of royal purple color. Just gonna dump these out here. These ones we're gonna go pretty close to each other. So the idea of the layering or lasagna planter is that you have the succession of them coming up. And you're also going to layer these bulbs on top of each other. So the first that's probably going to come up is a crocus. And then after that, your daffodils are going to bloom. And then after your daffodils are bloomed, then your tulips are going to come up and bloom right after that. So you have a longer bloom time, and they're planted right on top of each other. You also have a really full planter. And as those next things bloom in the spring, you're just going to cut off the old flower heads. You can actually leave the green growth because it makes it look a lot fuller. So I'm just going to plant these in here. There's quite a few bulbs. This is going to be a very full container. Okay, what do you got there?
I can do some crocus. These are some more tulips, though. What you like? I'll do some of that layering we were talking about.
Let me take a couple of these other ones out of here so we get more color in there.
Yeah, I can.
So the crocus will actually wait on those, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Because we'll get a little bit more dirt going in there.
And then we'll lasagna them.
Yep.
Okay.
So we're going to put a little bit of dirt on here, and then let's go ahead and put the daffodils. Go ahead and plant your daffodils in there. So that's why it's called lasagna layering, because we put some bulbs in at their depth. We put a little bit of dirt over the top, and then we put more bulbs in on top of that. They will grow around those other bulbs, so I'm not too worried about that. Perfect. Awesome. I'm gonna get more soil in there. Okay, now we can put the crocus in there, just on the top there.
Again, just keeping those little stems pointed upwards. And then that plant tone, since we fertilized that bottom layer, should be good to go all the way through.
Awesome.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, and a few more tulips on top.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? I love it.
This container is going to be so full.
Just like lasagna, it always needs a little extra cheese.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, that's good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're just going to cover this up. Then again, you're just going to mist these in. And you have 2 ways. I think we should give an update on these in the spring.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
That was fun. Thank you for teaching me how to do that.
All right, absolutely. So awesome. I hope you enjoyed this show. If you have any questions about anything that we did, just leave it in the comments. Again, we'd love to hear from you. Our raffle, we'll go ahead and announce our raffle. We'll go ahead and grab our tickets out of there.
Woo.
That's for, if you haven't been following along, that's for a 25-gallon shade tree of your choice. We've been raffling those off. All you had to do was subscribe to our channel and or like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram, and you got put in for a raffle. So we'll go ahead and grab those, and we'll see you here in a little bit.
Who the lucky winner is.
This is so cool. So we're gonna pick a raffle ticket. I think Jess might be able to get us some drum roll in the background noise, our producer. So again, this is for a 25-gallon shade tree.
Oh, beautiful.
The stakes are high right now.
Yes.
Can you feel the tension in the atmosphere?
Thank you all so much for watching our videos and subscribing and coming in to be part of the raffle. So this has been a few months coming. And
yeah, absolutely.
We're excited.
By y'all subscribing, it helps the algorithm. So that way we can help other gardeners. Really, our heart really is to help gardeners, landscapers, homeowners, with any of your gardening problems. And so it really is a joy. We really do enjoy doing what we do. And we love being out here in nature. So again, this raffle ticket's for a 25-gallon shade tree of your choice. So whoever we draw, you get to come and pick that out. I think we added it all up, and it's around a $500 value with everything that goes with your tree for mulching and staking and tying on your tree. And so I'll do the drum roll, and you go ahead and pick a raffle ticket. Da 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 da. I'm not a very good drummer.
Okay.
I don't have the rhythm.
All right, and the lucky winner is Rita Brown.
Rita Brown, awesome. Hey Rita, we'll go ahead and give you a call and let you come up here and pick out your shade tree. Hey, thank you all so much for watching this episode. We really enjoy doing this. And so go ahead and leave a comment if you have any questions, follow and subscribe. And yeah, we're having a beautiful day up here at Rockwell Farms.
It's beautiful.
We've got all of our fall stuff in.
Oh,
it is getting to be sweater weather. Yeah.
We even got some new pumpkins in. These come from a local farmer, y'all. So if you come in, you're supporting not only our locally owned business, but as well as a local farmer.
Way too cool. Awesome,
so cool.
Yeah. Pumpkins, mums, pansies, we got it all.
It's a dream right now.
So awesome. Hey, thank you again so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.